My name is Annie B. Moore. I was 29 years old when my boyfriend casually announced that his female best friend would be joining the anniversary trip to Greece that I had planned and paid for. "I didn't think you'd mind if Mia came too," Caleb said. I looked at him and smiled. "You're right. Bringing friends sounds great." He thought he had won. He had no idea that the following morning, I would transfer his ticket to Daniel, a male friend who had shown me more loyalty than Caleb had in 3 years. Caleb discovered the truth at the airport. By then, Daniel and I were already on the plane. To understand how we reached that point, you need to understand what my relationship with Caleb had become. I worked as a marketing consultant in a mid-sized city. My career was stable, my income was good, and I had always been careful with money. Caleb was 25 when we met at a mutual friend's party. He was energetic, charming, and determined to build a career as a lifestyle influencer. His phone was constantly in his hand, capturing coffee shops, motivational speeches, workouts, and carefully staged fragments of ordinary life. I admired his ambition. When his income remained inconsistent, I stepped in. I bought his first professional camera. I helped edit videos after working 10-hour days. When sponsorships fell through, I covered his part of the rent without humiliating him. I believed that was what partners did. But support only traveled in one direction. When I had an important presentation at work, Caleb canceled dinner to attend a networking event. When my grandfather died, he said he could not attend the funeral because he had a content deadline. I told myself he was building something that would eventually benefit both of us. Then there was Mia. She had been Caleb's closest friend since college. At first, I made an effort to accept their friendship. She joined group dinners and appeared in his social media posts. Caleb described her as practically family. Over time, however, she became present even when she was not physically there. Caleb smiled whenever her name appeared on his phone. He spent entire weekends meeting her for coffee while I remained home. He posted photographs of them together with captions such as, "Soul connections never fade." Whenever I expressed discomfort, Caleb rolled his eyes. "Do not become that girlfriend, Annie. Mia is like a sister." Yet every conversation eventually returned to her. Mia understood his humor. Mia encouraged his creativity. Mia believed he was destined for something bigger. I funded the life that allowed him to chase those dreams. She received the emotional version of him I kept waiting to see. For our third anniversary, I planned a trip to Greece. I saved for months. I booked flights, a quiet hotel near the coast, historical tours, and a private boat excursion at sunset. It was meant to be romantic. A chance to reconnect without phones, deadlines, or Mia occupying every conversation. When I revealed the surprise over dinner, Caleb seemed excited. He kissed me and immediately began discussing the photographs he could create for his page. Still, I ignored the small disappointment. I wanted to believe the trip would remind us who we had once been. In the weeks leading up to departure, Caleb's attention shifted even further toward Mia. He smiled at private messages and carried his phone into rooms where he had never needed privacy before. One evening, while we reviewed the itinerary, he casually said, "Mia's having a difficult time." I looked up. "What happened?" "Her boyfriend ended things. She's devastated." "I'm sorry. She has always wanted to visit Greece." I felt my stomach tighten. The following morning, Caleb delivered the request over pancakes. "I didn't think you'd mind if Mia came on the trip too." My fork stopped halfway to my mouth. "This is our anniversary trip." "I know, but she needs support." "Then support her when we return." His expression hardened. "Why are you making this difficult?" "Because I planned a romantic vacation for us." "It would still be romantic. Mia could do her own thing sometimes." "Sometimes?" He leaned back and crossed his arms. "She can also take photographs for my content. It benefits everyone. I paid for this trip so we could reconnect. And now you're acting controlling." I stared at him. "Would you be comfortable if I invited Daniel?" Daniel was a longtime colleague who had helped me through several difficult projects. Caleb immediately frowned. "That would be different." "How?" "He's a man. And Mia is a woman." Mia is my best friend. His voice rose with irritation. You either trust me or you don't. The late-night messages and constant comparisons make that difficult. Caleb laughed. Not nervously, dismissively. You're paranoid. Then he said something he had never admitted before. Mia and I kissed once in college. It meant nothing. My chest tightened. You told me she was like your sister. That was years ago. You deliberately left that out. Because I knew you would overreact. I set down my fork. This is supposed to be our anniversary. He shook his head. Real partners allow each other freedom. Mia challenges me creatively. She understands my energy. You're comfortable and safe. But sometimes I need more than that. Safe. After every bill I paid and every sacrifice I made, safety had become an insult. Caleb continued speaking. If you cannot handle my friendships, maybe we are not as compatible as I thought. Something inside me became still. I did not yell. I did not demand that he choose. I simply smiled. You're right. Bringing friends sounds great. His face relaxed immediately. I knew you would understand. He picked up his phone, probably to tell Mia. That night, I lay awake in the guest room replaying every time Caleb had abandoned me for her, and then convinced me that my pain was insecurity. By sunrise, confusion had become clarity. Caleb did not see me as his partner. I was the reliable woman financing his adventures, while Mia received his loyalty, attention, and excitement. The following morning, Caleb left to run errands. I opened the airline application and called customer service. His reservation was transferable for a fee. I paid it. Then I called Daniel. Are you free next week? That depends. Why? How would you feel about Greece? There was a pause. Then I explained enough for him to understand. Daniel let out a low whistle. That's brutal. Is that a no? No, he replied. That is absolutely a yes. I transferred the ticket into his name. I packed quietly and told Caleb I would handle the final travel details. He barely looked up from his phone. On departure morning, Daniel and I arrived at the airport several hours early. We cleared security, boarded the plane, and placed our phones on airplane mode. Across the city, Caleb arrived with Mia. At the check-in counter, he discovered his ticket no longer existed. His calls began as the cabin doors closed. I watched his name flash across my screen one final time. Then I turned off the phone. Caleb had demanded the freedom to bring a friend. I had simply followed his rule. The flight to Greece felt unreal. I sat beside the window while Daniel studied the itinerary on his tablet, quietly amazed by how quickly my life had changed. Less than 24 hours earlier, Caleb believed he would be traveling with Mia on the anniversary trip I had funded. Now, Daniel occupied the seat beside me. My phone remained in airplane mode, but before switching it off, I had seen Caleb's name flashing across the screen again and again. Calls, messages, voicemails. I imagined him standing at the check-in counter with Mia, demanding that some exhausted airline employee explain how his ticket had disappeared. The thought should have satisfied me. Instead, I felt hollow. Daniel must have noticed. You don't have to pretend this doesn't hurt, he said. I know. You supported him for years. Walking away does not erase that overnight. I looked through the window at the clouds. I keep wondering how I missed everything. You didn't miss it. You trusted him when he told you there was nothing to worry about. That distinction mattered. For years, Caleb had taught me to distrust my own instincts. Every late-night message from Mia became harmless friendship. Every canceled plan became evidence that I was demanding. Every comparison became motivation I was too insecure to appreciate. By the time we landed in Athens, I was exhausted from replaying memories. The warmth outside the airport felt like another world. Daniel and I collected our bags, took a ferry toward the coast, and arrived at the hotel just before sunset. The room had a balcony overlooking turquoise water. I had chosen it for Caleb. For several minutes, that fact sat heavily between the white curtains and the untouched bottle of wine, waiting on the table. Daniel placed his suitcase beside the sofa. I can ask for another room. No, He looked toward me carefully. You sure? This trip belongs to me now. His smile was gentle. Then let's make it a good one. The first 2 days remained entirely platonic. We explored old ruins, ate seafood beside the harbor, and became lost twice because Daniel refused to admit he had read the map incorrectly. There were no arguments, no waiting while someone filmed the same cup of coffee from 12 angles, no sudden changes because Mia had sent an emotional message. Daniel was present. That alone felt revolutionary. Still, grief arrived in quiet moments. On the second morning, I woke expecting Caleb beside me. During lunch, I remembered how he once canceled a concert I had purchased tickets for because Mia needed help moving. At sunset, I thought about my grandfather's funeral and the empty chair where Caleb should have sat. He had always demanded grace for his absences, while treating my boundaries like personal attacks. On the third day, we boarded the private boat I had originally booked as the centerpiece of our anniversary. The captain guided us along the coastline as cliffs rose above the water. Daniel and I sat near the bow, the wind whipping through our hair. "This is incredible," he said. Caleb would have asked whether the lighting was good enough for content. Daniel simply watched the horizon. We talked for hours, about work, about families, about the lives we had postponed while trying to support people who never truly saw us. Daniel admitted that his previous relationship had ended after his girlfriend repeatedly treated him as an option whenever someone more exciting appeared. "I kept thinking loyalty would eventually make her choose me," he said. "Did it?" "No. Leaving did." The words settled between us. That evening, we shared wine on the hotel balcony. Nothing dramatic happened. No sudden kiss beneath the stars. But something shifted. For the first time in years, I felt understood without having to defend myself. Meanwhile, Caleb's world was collapsing at home. I learned the details later from mutual friends. At the airport, he had screamed at the airline staff and accused me of stealing his vacation. Mia recorded part of the scene before realizing it made him look unstable. Caleb then posted online claiming his controlling girlfriend had stranded him. The story fell apart quickly when friends asked why Mia had been accompanying him on a romantic anniversary trip. Caleb removed the post within hours. Then he confessed his feelings to Mia. Apparently, he told her my departure proved we were finally free to explore what had always existed between them. Mia accepted the attention. She allowed Caleb to pay for a last-minute weekend trip, claiming they deserved their own adventure. He used what remained of his savings. 2 days later, Mia reconciled with her ex-boyfriend. She blocked Caleb before returning home. He discovered through social media that she had posted photographs with the man, captioned, "Some connections always find their way back." Caleb called her repeatedly. Mia responded once. "We were never a couple. You misunderstood." The same man who accused me of misunderstanding their friendship had now been discarded by it. His humiliation became public. He posted angry videos accusing women of using good men, then deleted them after followers reminded him that I had financed most of his lifestyle. Sponsors disappeared. Friends distanced themselves. His growing influencer career began collapsing beneath the very drama he had created. I did not know any of this while in Greece. I only knew that each day away from Caleb felt lighter. Before flying home, I posted one photograph. Just the sea. No faces. No location tag. The caption read, "New Horizons." Daniel looked over my shoulder. Subtle. "It isn't for him. Who is it for?" I thought about the woman I had been before boarding the plane. For me. When we returned, Daniel and I agreed not to force whatever had begun between us. But we kept talking. Coffee after work, weekend walks, long conversations that did not revolve around someone else's needs. Caleb's first message reached me 2 weeks later through an unfamiliar number. "Annie, this has gone too far. Mia was a mistake. We need to talk." I deleted it. Then another arrived. "I understand now. You were the one who actually loved me." He was finally learning the difference between attention and loyalty. But I had no intention of becoming the reward for his lesson. Caleb's messages kept coming from unfamiliar numbers. At first, they sounded calm. "Annie, We need to talk like adults. Then, apologetic. I handled everything badly. Mia was a mistake. Then desperate. Please. I have nowhere else to go. That last sentence told me more than all the apologies before it. Caleb did not miss the relationship. He missed the structure I had provided. The rent. The planning. The editing help. The certainty that someone would solve whatever problem he created next. I ignored every message. Meanwhile, Daniel and I continued seeing each other. Slowly. Carefully. Neither of us wanted to turn Greece into a rebound story. We met for coffee after work, took Buster from his sister's house on long walks when Daniel was dog-sitting, and spent entire evenings talking without checking our phones. There was no performance, no competition, no third person hovering inside every conversation. One evening, Daniel asked, "Do you ever miss him?" I thought about it. I miss who I believed he was. That's different. Yes, the distinction helped. 2 months after Greece, I received a promotion. The company gave me larger clients, better travel opportunities, and enough of a raise to move into a new apartment with wide windows and a view of the city. Daniel helped assemble the furniture. When the final shelf stood crooked, we laughed until our stomachs hurt. Caleb would have blamed me for buying the wrong pieces. Daniel simply found a screwdriver and fixed it. By then, Caleb's influencer work had nearly disappeared. His sponsorships dried up after his public airport meltdown and the videos attacking Mia. He had spent most of his savings on their failed weekend trip. Without my income, he could not afford the apartment. He moved onto his sister's couch. That was when he appeared at my door. It was raining. I had just finished cooking dinner when someone pounded against the wood. I looked through the peephole and saw Caleb standing in the hallway, soaked and angry. I opened the door only a few inches. "What do you want?" "To talk. We have nothing to discuss." He pushed one hand against the door. "Annie, please, I messed up." "Yes. Mia used me. You chose her. I thought she cared." "So did I." His face tightened. "That's not the same." "It is exactly the same." He lowered his voice. "I realize how much you did for me." There it was again. What I did, not who I was. "You paid the rent," he continued. "You helped with my videos. You believed in me before anyone else. And you treated that like something guaranteed." I took it for granted. "Yes. But I can change." I kept my hand firmly against the door. "Why now?" "Because losing you made me understand." "No. Losing Mia made you understand that attention is not loyalty." He flinched. "She manipulated me. She gave you exactly what you wanted." "What is that supposed to mean?" "Excitement without responsibility." His sadness turned defensive. "You didn't have to humiliate me at the airport. You planned to bring another woman on our anniversary trip. She was my friend. She was the woman you emotionally prioritized over me." Caleb looked past me into the apartment. His gaze paused on the dining table set for two. "Someone's here?" "Yes." "Who?" "That is none of your business." Then Daniel stepped into view behind me. He did not speak. He simply stood there. Caleb's expression changed immediately. "So, this is why?" "No. You replaced me. I stopped waiting for you to choose me." He laughed bitterly. "With him? The guy you took to Greece?" "Yes." "You cheated." The accusation was almost absurd. "I ended our relationship the moment you demanded Mia join the trip." "You never said that." "I transferred your ticket." "That was revenge." "It was clarity." His eyes sharpened. "You were always controlling. And you were always comfortable letting me pay while you chased someone else." He slapped his palm against the door. "You think you're better than me now?" "I think I deserve better than what you gave me." Daniel stepped closer. "Caleb, you need to leave." Caleb looked at him with open contempt. "This is between me and Annie." "No," I said. "There is no me and Annie anymore." His face crumpled. For a moment, I saw the fear beneath the anger. "Please," he whispered. "I'm broke. My sister wants me out. I lost almost every sponsor. I felt no satisfaction, only confirmation. Then rebuild. I can't do it alone. I did. He stared at me. I love you. You love having someone rescue you. That's not fair. It is the most honest thing I have ever said to you. He reached through the gap in the door. I stepped back and closed it. His fist struck the wood once. Then again. I called building security. By the time they arrived, Caleb was shouting that I owed him closure. I listened from the other side until his voice disappeared down the hallway. Daniel stood beside me. You okay? Yes. I expected my hands to shake. They did not. Caleb had once made me feel like the unreasonable woman standing between him and freedom. Now he stood outside my door, demanding access to a life he had willingly abandoned. His family began contacting me the following week. His sister called first. You stranded him financially. No. I stopped financing him. He made one mistake. It lasted most of our relationship. His mother left a voicemail accusing me of cruelty. A former mutual friend messaged, maybe you should hear him out. He is really struggling. I replied once. His struggle is not my responsibility. Then I blocked them all. Caleb's apologies changed into threats. One message said he would expose me as controlling. Another claimed Daniel and I had been having an affair before Greece. He posted vague stories online about betrayal and narcissistic exes. Most people ignored them. Some openly challenged him. The old narrative no longer worked because too many people had seen the airport scene, the messages with Mia, and the collapse that followed. 6 months after Greece, Daniel and I became official. Around the same time, our mutual friend Jake announced a destination wedding in Italy. Daniel was invited as my +1. I hesitated. Caleb knew Jake. He might appear. Daniel looked at me. We can skip it. No. I had already surrendered enough places to Caleb's chaos. The wedding took place in a vineyard town surrounded by rolling hills and strings of warm lights. For most of the evening, everything was peaceful. Daniel and I talked with friends, danced, and watched the sunset spill gold across the fields. Then the side gate opened. Caleb walked in. He was not on the guest list. His clothes were rumpled. His face looked hollow. The moment he saw me beside Daniel, he crossed the lawn with desperate purpose. This time, there would be no airport counter between us. No unanswered phone. No closed apartment door. He was coming directly toward me. And the final confrontation had arrived. Caleb reached me before Daniel and I could move away from the edge of the dance floor. He crossed the vineyard lawn quickly, ignoring the curious looks from guests and the wedding coordinator hurrying after him. Annie, we need to talk. His voice was urgent, almost breathless. I stayed beside Daniel. This is not the place. Yes, it is. Caleb grabbed my wrist. Daniel stepped forward immediately, but I gently lifted my free hand. I can handle this. Caleb released me, though his fingers lingered for a second too long. Up close, he looked exhausted. His shirt was wrinkled. His hair had lost the careful style he once filmed tutorials about. The polished influencer image was gone, leaving only a frightened man who had finally run out of people willing to carry him. I have tried everything, he said. Calls, messages, your apartment. You keep shutting me out. Because the relationship is over. It does not have to be. Yes, it does. Music continued behind us, but nearby conversations had faded. A few guests pretended not to watch. Caleb glanced at Daniel. So this is him. This is Daniel. The man you replaced me with. No, the man I met after I stopped allowing you to disrespect me. Caleb laughed bitterly. You took him on our trip. You demanded that another woman join our anniversary. Mia was my best friend. She was also someone you kissed and emotionally prioritized over me. That was years ago. You hid it for years. His eyes flashed. You transferred my ticket without warning. Do you understand how humiliating that was? I held his gaze. You believed friends could be added without permission. That was different. Only because the rule benefited you. His mouth tightened. Then his anger collapsed into desperation. Mia ruined me. No, your choices did. She used me. You chose her. She made me believe we had something real. So did you. The words stopped him. For several seconds, Caleb said nothing. Then his voice softened. I see everything now. What exactly do you see? That you were always there. I waited. You supported me. You paid the rent. You helped with my work. You believed in me. Every answer described a service. Not me. I miss our home, he continued. I miss our plans. You miss the life I financed. That is not fair. It is accurate. His eyes filled with tears. I love you. You loved being taken care of. No. Then tell me what you miss about me that did not make your life easier. Caleb opened his mouth. Nothing came out. The silence was louder than any confession. Daniel remained beside me, calm and steady. He did not interrupt or posture. He trusted me to finish what I had started. Caleb looked toward him again. You think you won? Daniel answered quietly. This was never a competition. Caleb's face hardened. It is easy for you to say. You walked into the life I built. No, I said. He walked into the life I rebuilt after you tried to turn me into a background character. Caleb looked around, aware of the growing audience. His voice dropped. Please, do not embarrass me here. I almost smiled. You came uninvited to a wedding in another country. I came because I needed you to hear me. I heard you for 3 years. He took another step closer. I made a mistake. You made a series of choices. I can change. You only wanted change after Mia rejected you. That is not why I am here. Then why did every apology begin after your sponsors disappeared and your sister asked you to leave? His face went pale. I am trying to rebuild. Then rebuild. With you. No. The word came easily. No guilt. No hesitation. Caleb looked at Daniel and then back at me. You really choose him? I choose a relationship where I am not asked to fund my own humiliation. His eyes filled completely. Annie, please. I remembered the breakfast table. His dismissive laugh. The way he told me I was insecure for questioning why a woman he once kissed should join our anniversary trip. Then I remembered my answer. You're right. Bringing friends sounds great. You wanted freedom, I said. I gave it to you. I did not want to lose you. You were willing to risk me. That is not the same. It was to me. He reached for my arm again. I stepped back. Do not touch me. The firmness in my voice finally made him stop. You owe me after what you did at the airport, he said, anger returning beneath the tears. There it was. Entitlement. Even while begging, he believed I owed him. I owe you nothing. You stranded me. You arrived with the woman you planned to insert into our anniversary. She was hurting. So was I. Caleb's expression shifted. For the first time, he seemed to understand that my pain had existed before his consequences. But understanding came too late. I am sorry, he whispered. I believe you regret it. Isn't that enough? No. Daniel's hand slipped into mine. Caleb stared at our joined fingers. This is what you wanted? To make me watch? This wedding is not about you. You brought him to humiliate me. I brought my boyfriend because he was invited. Caleb looked toward the guests, many of whom had begun whispering. His humiliation was real, but it belonged to the scene he had created. I took a slow breath. You told me bringing friends was no big deal. He flinched. So I followed your rule. That was cruel. No. Cruel was expecting me to pay for a romantic vacation while you brought the woman you emotionally chose over me. Tears rolled down his face. I love you. It mattered once. His hope flickered. Then give me one chance. No. I looked toward Daniel. He values the qualities you mocked. He does not call loyalty boring or stability suffocating. Then I looked back at Caleb. You are no longer part of the life I am building. His shoulders began trembling. Annie, go home. He stood there for several seconds, as though waiting for me to soften. I did not. Finally, the wedding coordinator approached with security. Caleb turned and walked toward the gate. He glanced back once. I was still holding Daniel's hand. Then he disappeared beyond the vineyard wall. The party slowly returned to life. Music rose. Conversations resumed. Daniel looked at me. You okay? Yes. And I truly was. 6 months later, Daniel and I moved into a home together. We split expenses fairly. We traveled without hidden guests or emotional games. When my work became demanding, he supported me without demanding that I prove my love through sacrifice. Caleb never contacted me again. I heard he eventually found steady work and left the influencer world. Whether he changed no longer mattered. The lesson was mine. Being dependable did not make me boring. Being generous did not make me disposable. And being someone's safe choice was never the same as being loved. Caleb believed he could bring Mia on the trip because I would always accommodate him. Instead, he gave me the clarity to leave. Greece was supposed to celebrate 3 years together. It became the beginning of my life without him. He wanted a friend on the journey. So I brought one. The difference was that Daniel never made me feel like a third wheel inside my own relationship.